What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? This is the TigerWarEagle14 show, and man, let me tell y'all something. It's been a while since I've done a TigerWarEagle14 show, and I apologize since I've been busy with work and everything. Before we get to Squidtard here in just a moment, who's my guest to make picks, I have a major announcement to make regarding my health. Of course, my brother just the other day was told he was positive for COVID-19, but I went to visit him today, but we were separated. We saw each other through the window of his house. And, we got to talking. He said he's feeling better. So, all thanks to God above. So, and of course, my announcement, I went and got tested yesterday to make sure that I was fine. And thankfully so, I tested negative for COVID-19. So all thanks to God and everything. But anyway, Squidtard, it's great to have you on the TigerWarEagle14 show, as well as you being healthy and everyone else. We hope you're staying healthy during this COVID-19 pandemic. Squidtard, welcome to the TigerWarEagle14 show. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on, Tiger War Eagle. I can't wait to get this thing started.
I can't wait, too. This is a very interesting week. Of course, we've had several games. If you didn't see Squidtard's prediction show, of course, some games got canceled, and I made a prediction. I made fun of Michigan State after the performance against Indiana, saying after that performance against Indiana, they should cancel their game against Maryland. Well, unfortunately, that game has been canceled too, as well as Duke and Wake Forest has been canceled. So we don't know what's going to happen with those games. I'm sure that probably just won't make it up. I'm sure. But let's go ahead. We're going to take a look at some SEC games. Also, we're going to take a look at some other college football games. But also, one more major announcement I want to make. Of course, over this whole pandemic, I had to find something to watch to keep me entertained. And thankfully, and I can't believe I'm saying this, WWE kept me entertained throughout the whole entire summer. And of course, and they're trying their best to make it through the winter and, of course, through this whole pandemic. But, of course, this Sunday is their big pay-per-view Survivor Series. And I want to give my shout-out to one of the greatest of all time, The Undertaker. Bidding his farewell, I'm sure, for good this time. Of course, there's been, rumors he'd come back and all this. But I think this time he is going away forever. So, Undertaker, we thank you for the memories. Thank you for what you've done for sports entertainment. And we hope you enjoy your retirement with your wife, Michelle McCool. So
watch him come back.
Huh?
Watch him come back.
If he does, man, I'm gonna dude, WTF? What the heck, dude? We put all this farewell stuff together and everything. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at our first SEC game of the week. Sixth ranked Florida travels to Vanderbilt to an empty Vanderbilt Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm sure that's become a common thing for Vanderbilt, is having barely anybody in the stands. So, anyway, the top 10 ranked Gators traveled to Nashville. Who do you got in this game, Squidtard?
Well, this is just a common thing for Vanderbilt where there's nobody at their stadiums. They're used to this kind of thing. But as for the game itself, a lot of people have been telling me, Vandy fans exclusively, the only ones I know, considering there aren't many, are like, Kyle Schumer. Kyle Shermer. This is the next Kyle Shermer. Ken Seals is the next Kyle Shermer. And I was like, how's that possible? Apparently, if you look at the two stats, they're about the same when it comes to their freshman years. And Ken Seals, I'm sure he's not the worst quarterback. I mean, there are worse options you could choose from. But regarding him, I think he's a pretty good quarterback. I think he's all right. The only problem with that is Vandy's defense is practically non-existent, and you're going up against one of the rather best offenses in all of college football, that being Florida. Now, I know their defense isn't the best, but Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts and all of the weapons that Florida has are just going to be way too much for Vanderbilt to handle. I think Florida wins this game, and whatever spread there is on this game, I think they cover that without an issue.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say Florida takes care of Vanderbilt without question. Now, Vanderbilt somehow keeps the game. I'll be kind of shocked, and I'll go ahead and admit that probably Florida could be overrated. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying right now Florida is one of the best teams in the East, if not the best team in the SEC East, despite Georgia right there being in second. So I'm going to go with the Gators, and as they'll take care of business against the Commodores. Now, our next game, the LSU Tigers traveling to Fayetteville, Arkansas to battle the more improved Arkansas Razorbacks. That game's at 11 o'clock on the SEC network. Squid, do you see the unthinkable happening for Arkansas? Can they beat LSU?
Well, here's something on a side note. Last year in this game, LSU was a 42-point favorite against Arkansas. This year, Arkansas is a 3-point favorite over LSU. That is the biggest point spread in 2 consecutive years between two teams. 45 points. That's ridiculous. As for this game itself, though, it's going to be tough for me to choose because, I mean, I think there's a point where LSU could definitely improve and possibly rebound. But Arkansas, their offense actually does look pretty good. I wasn't a believer in Felipe Franks going into the start of the season, but he has looked pretty good this entire season. LSU's defense, though, they've not been able to get it together. Right now they're competing with Vandy for worst defense in the SEC, and I don't think there's anybody that can compare to that. The LSU offense is going to have to step up in this game, and I think they are. I think they are able to do that. I think they are looking for a game to rebound off of because a lot of people think that LSU is just this terrible, terrible team based off of their defensive performance. Now, their defense is, and I will be real with you, defense is terrible. The offense, though, I haven't seen too much from the offense, but I think they're able to rebound enough to get this win here at Arkansas. So give me LSU in this game.
Now, who did I pick in your show? Who did I pick? Did I pick LSU or Arkansas? I can't remember.
I think you went with Arkansas, I think.
Okay, well, here's the thing. The last time I saw LSU on the football field was 2 weeks ago on Halloween afternoon at Jordan-Hare, and Auburn sent LSU into an oblivion, or beat them into an oblivion. So I'm going to stick with my pick and say the Arkansas Razorbacks take down the LSU Tigers in Razorback Stadium. I expect this game to be – actually, I think this game will be a shootout. With two defenses that are – I mean, they're all right, but they're just not on the same page at sometimes. So give me the Razorbacks in a high-scoring shootout in Fayetteville. Next game, I really wouldn't cover this game, but who knows? But hey, who knows? Kentucky could put up a fight against the number 1 Crimson Tide of Alabama in Bryant-Denny Stadium. So who do you got, Squidtard? Alabama, or does Kentucky pull off the major upset?
Well, a lot of people have been telling me that Kentucky can't compete in this game, and I think that Kentucky can score about 10 points in this game. I don't think there's any way that they'll be able to compete with Alabama in this game. I think they're just way too talented. If worst comes to worst, I think worst case scenario for Alabama would be to not be able to cover the spread. And I don't know what the spread is, but I know that it's almost over 20. So, yeah, give me Alabama in this one, and I think they cover the spread.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't know if Kentucky can hang with Alabama because, I mean, yes, their offense is all right, but is it enough to hang with their defense? I don't think so. So, despite Jalen Waddle being out, I'm gonna take the Alabama Crimson Tide in this one. I think the final score will be about 41-10. I'm looking at as a final score with the Iron Bowl looming, and I saw that the Iron Bowl was coming up there. I'm like, wait, the Iron Bowl is next week. I mean, it don't feel like it because if you look at the records for both teams, normally about this time, Auburn would probably have 8 wins, maybe 9. Alabama would no doubt have 12 wins and undefeated. But, I mean, it feels like a Michigan State type of game. It's going to be in the middle of the season. I mean, it's a weird feeling this year, obviously thanks to COVID-19 being a factor. So I'm going to take Alabama in the Kentucky game. First off, let me look at some comments real quick. Pizza Woman, what's going on? Tiger Raven, what's happening? Thanks for commenting on the TigerWarEagle14 show. Our next game we'll take a look at Georgia and Mississippi State, a primetime SEC Network game at 6:30. The Dogs take on the Dogs. It really don't matter what kind of dog it is. It's the same kind. 13th ranked Georgia against unranked Mississippi State. Who do you got, Squid?
Well, the last time Georgia played, they got their crap pushed in by Florida. But that's just based on the fact that Florida is a better team. Now, I was originally going to say, and this is before – when I did the Squidtard podcast, that was before they made the big announcement, which I will get to in a moment. But I mentioned that Georgia is probably going to win this game in a defensive matchup. I think they're able to win, but they'll have trouble covering the spread. Well, from news that I've gotten of recently, JT Daniels will be starting for Georgia in this game. So that is a big turnaround, and it could possibly be the turnaround that Georgia needed to get back on track here. So I think I'm going to go with Georgia here, and they'll cover the spread. But if JT Daniels does not perform the way I'm expecting him to, then I'm just of the belief that Kirby Smart has no idea what he's doing with the quarterback situation.
I agree. I mean, look, Mississippi State. I mean, earlier this year when they looked good against your defending national champion. Well, I should say a fraud national champion LSU. But I do have to give credit. LSU did have a great team last year. But when they showed out against LSU earlier this year, I really thought Mississippi State, in 1 year with Mike Leach, was going to turn the corner. But since then, they have fallen off. They only scored, think about this, 2 points they've only scored against Kentucky. 2 points. But, I mean, yeah, I know this is the first year for Mike Leach. He's going to get things turned around eventually up there in Starkville. I actually have Mississippi State beating Auburn because, I mean, it's probably going to be more than likely prime time in Starkville, Mississippi. It'll probably be a night game. Auburn's going to be on the road at Starkville, which is a tough place to play. With the cowbells ringing, those annoying cowbells. So, I mean, I'd take Mississippi State in the Auburn game. But for this week, I'm taking the Georgia Bulldogs easily over the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Our next SEC game, another primetime game on the SEC Network alternate channel. The Battle of Columbias, two teams that play in the same city in different states. The Missouri Tigers out of Columbia, Missouri, takes on the South Carolina Gamecocks out of Columbia, South Carolina. Of course, the news all week long is the buzz has been about Will Muschamp being let go at South Carolina after a dismal career. And I really thought he saved his job against Auburn, which I think it was just a fluke because Auburn just wasn't on the same page that whole game. So, who do you got in the battle for the Columbia Cup, Missouri or South Carolina?
This is a really tough one for me to choose because this is a game where, I mean, these are the only two teams that Tennessee has managed to beat this season, and they're going up against each other. Both look evenly as bad as when we played them. So, and the fact that Muschamp is fired is making me really, really concerned on who to pick for this game. I'm going to have a very, very tough time trying to figure out who I'm going to choose for this game. I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's such a tough choice to go with South Carolina in this game because after firing Will Muschamp, the thing is, that's probably the morality loss that South Carolina really did not need. And as for Missouri, they're basically getting an extra bye week because last week they were supposed to play against Georgia and that game got postponed. So, of course, South Carolina coming off of firing Will Muschamp in a loss, Mizzou coming off of an extra bye week. That's the thing that Mizzou needs to get a push over this South Carolina team. So give me Missouri in this one.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good choice. Who did I pick in your show, Missouri or did I pick either Missouri or South Carolina?
You went Missouri.
Okay, so I'm gonna stick with my choice. With South Carolina going through controversy right now I'm gonna go with a coach-filled Missouri team over a coachless South Carolina team. I mean, I'm sure Will Muschamp's gonna go to what you call the Nick Saban Rehabilitation Clinic in Tuscaloosa. I'm sure. I mean, that's what everyone calls it now. So. Our next SEC game was supposed to be Mississippi State. Ole Miss against Texas A&M, the 5th-ranked Aggies. Of course, that game's been postponed and more than likely will be moved to December the 12th. I don't know how that's going to change. I don't know how that's going to affect how the SEC West race goes because right now the Aggies are in second. Did they play Alabama yet? I can't remember I think they did.
Texas A&M, yes, they did. That's their only loss.
Okay, so if Alabama were to lose to Alabama's biggest threat right now, in my opinion, and a lot of people are going to call me crazy for this, I'd say the one SEC team that's going to be a pretty big threat to Alabama is probably – it's going to be either – I can't believe I'm saying it, though – Auburn or Arkansas. Because Arkansas, they're good at home, but I don't know if they'd be good enough to beat Alabama. And Auburn's playing in Tuscaloosa, and that's a bigger challenge because Gus Malzahn's never won there. Now, who knows? They might somehow do it. They might finally get that one win for Malzahn. But, But speaking of Gus Malzahn, this will be his 100th game this weekend. It was supposed to be against Mississippi State. Of course, that game was postponed to December the 12th. But this time, the 100th game for Malzahn's Auburn career will be against the Vols, which the last time Tennessee visited Auburn, the Vols came out of Jordan-Hare with a W in their back pocket. Of course, this time, I'm sure Auburn's going to be a heavy favorite in this one. Not sure I like the Vols' chances though, Squid, but I'm sure. But you're a Tennessee fan, so I'll let you to give you your point, and I'll give you my point.
All right. Well, for us, this is basically deja vu all over again. We're looking at the very same exact scenario, which was exactly the same thing that we saw in 2018. Tennessee was doing pretty bad that season. They were looking for a win, and they came across Auburn. We were heavily favored to lose that game. And what happened? We came out and shocked everybody by getting a big top 25 win. I believe the possibilities of us doing it again are likely. We have a lot of the same talent at Tennessee. Auburn has a lot of the same talent. Now, of course, there's some different things that are going to have to happen, and some things are going to have to line up in Tennessee's way. I know that for sure. The defense is going to have to step up in this game for sure. We've been slacking off on defense these past few games. Against Arkansas, we weren't able to do much with their offense. They were doing a lot. And the biggest thing that I think is going to have to happen, which I think Jeremy Pruitt is going to be yelling at his team about in this game, we will have to play a full game. We were leading on Arkansas by 13 before everything crashed and burned in the second half. The biggest thing here is that we need to, if we get a lead in this game, which could happen, we need to continue building on that lead instead of letting ourselves die in the second half, which is, I think, something that Jeremy Pruitt and this team have been working on over these past 2 weeks. So if all of that lines up in our favor, I think there is a very huge possibility for Tennessee to get the W in this game, because we're not as bad as people say we are. We've just found a way to collapse upon ourselves and give up in the second half because we think that we just are going to get the W, and that's not how football works. And I think Jeremy Pruitt's going to teach the boys how to really win a game this season. So give me the Vols in this game, and hopefully things turn out the way I'm thinking they will.
Well, here are some interesting stats that, of course, this weekend for Auburn, it's their annual homecoming game. Now, of course, there's going to be limited capacity due to the CDC's COVID-19 guidelines. Auburn is 81-8 to 4 at home for homecoming games. Auburn has won their last 28 homecoming games. Again, this is Gus Malzahn's 100th game. Now, but some of those stats couldn't be interesting enough, but here's one interesting stat you got to think about, or one question you got to wonder. What kind of Bo Nix are we going to see Saturday? I think we're going to see the Bo Nix that does good at home, but what kind of Bo Nix at home are we looking at? One that struggles or one that we saw against LSU? I think because we're playing at home and it's very comfortable at home, and we don't have to hear that annoying Rocky Top every 20 seconds, I think Bo Nix will do very good at home, just like he did against LSU. I think he's going to go off one more time before the Alabama game coming up here next week. Of course, we're not looking ahead yet. We're going to take a look at Tennessee. Now, I do agree with you. I think Tennessee is better than what people say or think they are. And they just collapsed in the second half. Like you said, they collapsed at the wrong time. But again, if this game were being played in Knoxville, Tennessee, I'd pick Tennessee immediately because, I mean, it's like, I mean, if there were 100,000 people in Knoxville, I'd say Tennessee wins. Regardless, Tennessee would win in Knoxville. But because this game is being played in Auburn, and because this team has some players that were on that 2018 team, they want to beat Tennessee, and I think they're going to beat them mentally and physically. So I'm going to take Auburn in this game because, first off, it's homecoming. Second of all, this is a revenge game. And third of all, we got Alabama next week, and we want to show Alabama that we are ready for them, even though we're playing that game in Tuscaloosa. So I'm going to take Auburn big over the Vols in that game.
All righty then. Hopefully we'll hear Rocky Top that day. But, you know, it doesn't matter if we win. I mean, if we win, they play Rocky Top. If we lose, they play Rocky Top. If Smokey craps in the middle of the field, they play Rocky Top. They play Rocky Top for literally everything that happens. So don't be surprised if you'll hear that 1,000 times.
Well, I don't think their band's going to travel because I haven't seen one visiting band make a trip to any SEC school yet. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other CFB games that are on tap for this week. We got Ohio State and Indiana, the top 10 matchup in the Big Ten. This is like David going up against Goliath in this game. Indiana representing David, of course, Goliath being represented by Ohio State. Third-ranked Buckeyes against ninth-ranked Hoosiers of Indiana. So, Squidtard, do you see David taking down Goliath?
That would be a bold choice for me to say. To be honest, I like Indiana. I really like what they got going there. But, they're with Florida – or no, excuse me, not Florida State. They're another team, completely different. But Ohio State, the difference between Ohio State and the rest of the Big Ten, there is a major, major talent gap with the rest of the Big Ten. And I think that's going to show when they play Indiana. I have a feeling that Indiana is probably going to keep it close for a majority of the game. But you'll notice as time progresses onward that the talent gap will start to show when Ohio State just starts to take the lead and builds that up. And eventually it's going to get to the point where Indiana is not able to come back from. Or it could be a nail biter. Either way, I think Ohio State gets the W here.
I am going to disagree with you. Of course, I made my choice on your show that Indiana was going to win. I'm going to stick with that choice because I believe at some point Goliaths have to fall on their knees and beg for mercy. So I'm going to take David over Goliath. Indiana walked into the horseshoe and stuns the Buckeyes in front of I don't know if they have it, but a zero crowd in attendance in Buckeye Stadium at the Horseshoe. So give me the Hoosiers to get that huge win over the Buckeyes.
If that happens, expect Twitter to completely break down upon itself.
Ohio State, because here's the good point. Ohio State's overrated. Who they played? Lou? I think that's how they used to say it. So anyway, our next game, a Big 12 showdown between two in-state teams, in-state rivals. Bedlam is what they call it in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma State Cowboys travel to the Oklahoma Sooners at Norman. That game is at 6:30 on ABC. Who do you have in this game, Squid? Cowboys or Pokes or Sooners?
This is a really tough one to call. Just like the other games that I've talked about, some of these close top 25 games. This one's going to be difficult to call because both of these teams, not just one, but both, are coming off of their respective bye weeks. So clearly, both of these teams are getting preparation for this game. This will be probably game of the week, I imagine. This will be definitely an offensive shootout. But, Oklahoma, after they crapped the bed week one and after that, they've kind of looked like a pretty good team. It's kind of looked like the same Oklahoma we've seen in the past couple of years where they have a really, really good offense and a mediocre defense. As for this game, though, I think that's going to come into play. It's going to be a matter of who can score more points. It's not going to be who can stop who. It's just going to be a matter of who can score more. So I think the team that will probably score the most points in this game and win it is the home favorite. I'm putting Oklahoma in this game. So, yeah, give me the Sooners.
I agree. If this game were being played in Stillwater, Oklahoma, I would immediately go with the Cowpokes in this one. But because this game is being played at Norman, Oklahoma, I'm going to go with the Sooners because, it's at home, and they're always tough at home. So give me the Oklahoma Sooners with Rattler. I think that's his name, the quarterback for Oklahoma. I'm going to take him and the Sooners in this game. Another game, the odds say the NC State's going to win by 2.5, or they're favored by 2.5. But I really am disgusted with the Vegas because why are you going to take? I understand that NC State's a better FBS conference than Liberty is, but why are you going to take an unranked team over a ranked team that the other team really played lights out? Liberty. Let me say this though: what a year for Liberty with Hugh Freeze at the helm, former Ole Miss head coach. No question about it, Squid. He's going to become probably the next South Carolina head coach. I know he's got an extension, but anything can change in the mind of Hugh Freeze. So, I'm still disgusted with with Vegas odds on picking NC State as a favorite over Liberty, despite this being a David Goliath matchup. So, who do you see in this one, Wolfpack or Flames?
Well, here's the thing about this game. Liberty, they're undefeated right now. They look really, really good. NC State coming off a pretty good win against Florida State. But, the more impressive team here, I think, is Liberty. I mean, they've already beaten one Power 5 team, that being Virginia Tech. I don't see how they can't beat another. Malik Willis, the quarterback for Liberty, I really like him. He is really good. Like, really, really good. He's the top rusher. I mean, he's the top rusher and passing player for Liberty. And, I mean, this has potential to be a shootout. But either way, I'm giving Liberty. I think Liberty wins this one. They just look like the better team to me.
So you're choosing Liberty?
Yes, I am.
I am going to do it as well. I mean, they beat one ACC team. If they can beat two, that is very impressive, and that should be good enough for South Carolina to go after Hugh Freeze to not send out an application. So give me Liberty, and I give them to win it by probably 10 points. We'll take a look at one more game right here. The Cincinnati Bearcats travel to Central Florida to take on the Knights of Central Florida, your 2017 quote-unquote national champions. That phrase has probably gotten old because it's been a couple years since Central Florida has been in the talk for a national championship conversation. So, Squid, do you see the bounce house in Orlando pulling off the upset, or do you see Cincinnati getting another W? And probably, do you see them going into the college football playoff?
Well, here's the thing about that. First thing I'll say, no, I don't see UCF pulling off the win here. Cincinnati is just a way better team. UCF, to me, at this point, is a team in disguise. They think that they are something. They think that they are the top tier group of 5 team, and they've never really have been. 2017 was their year. They got a win over Auburn. Hate to remind you of that, but I mean, that's the best it's going to get for UCF, I think. As for Cincinnati, I really like what they got going there. I think they get the win here. As for the remaining of their schedule, I just don't think that even with how things have lined up for them, I still don't think it's going to be good enough to get in. It's just a matter of who they play in their championship game. That is, if they even play one, and they'll have to get lucky with some teams dropping. Let's say in a hypothetical scenario that the top tier teams like Ohio State and Alabama, let's say that they drop drop a massive dookie in their championship games. In a scenario, because I'm going to say this, I think Alabama goes undefeated this season. I really do. But I'd say even if Alabama were to lose the SEC championship game, it wouldn't matter. They'd still get in. And I'd say that could be the same for Ohio State. Who knows? The point is, I don't think even if things line up for them, I still don't. The chances of Cincinnati making the playoffs are very, very slim.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, I'm all for upsets and all, but I mean, the bounce house in Orlando, are you kidding? You're not even going to pick a team that's very tough at home and has the place rocking that you don't think they're going to win. You know what? I'm going to disagree. I am going to say that Central Florida pulls off the major upset against Cincinnati in Orlando, Florida. So give me UCF. So my picks right now are a upset-filled weekend for sure in some rare occasions. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let's look at 2 more games. 2 more, and then we'll be finished. I forgot to mention this game. Wisconsin and Northwestern. This game being played in Evanston, which is just outside of Chicago. That game will be seen on ABC at 2:30. The Badgers, 10th-ranked Badgers, travel to the 19th-ranked Wildcats of Northwestern. So who do you see in this game, Wisconsin or Northwestern?
Well, this is a bigger game than what people think it is. People just think this is your regular old-fashioned, good old Big Ten game and all that because Ohio State's not involved, so what's the point of even talking about it? The thing is, this is a way bigger game than what people think it is because, of course, both of these teams are ranked in the top 20, and not just that. Aren't these 2 teams in the same division?
I think they are. I think they're in the same division.
If that's the case, then expect for Yeah, I fully expect for this to be the match for the division. Whoever wins this game will go on to face Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. So this is a huge game for both teams, I think. Northwestern looking to get a win here. You know, Northwestern has kind of been slept on because people think that this is just the regular same old Northwestern that does this thing every year where they just come out, win a couple of games, look pretty good, and then just die after that, kind of like the Maryland thing. But, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case this year. Northwestern actually looks like a really, really, really good team, and they look a lot better than a lot of people say they are. And they got this game at home against probably a favored Wisconsin team. They're expecting to make some noise here. This is going to be a really tough one for me to call, but I believe that if things line up for Northwestern, which I think they will, considering they have this game at home in a tough environment for Wisconsin to play in, I think Northwestern is going to get the upset here. I think they get the W over Wisconsin.
Okay, I took a look at the standings, and it does say that Wisconsin and Northwestern are in the same division, and they're actually tied for the lead. I think, well, both teams are undefeated. They're number one, number two in the West, with Northwestern leading. I think whoever wins this game, if I'm correct, because Wisconsin has some games either postponed or canceled, that if they win this game, whoever wins this game, rather, they'll have a threshold of the West Division in the Big Ten. So, and I'm sure Northwestern, I don't think they're going to have a crowd on hand for this game, which means you could have the advantage on your side. But because of that, I have to go with the road team in this situation. I have to go with Wisconsin in this one because, I mean, not only is Wisconsin good, I think it's because there's not a crowd on hand for Northwestern. So give me the Badgers in this game. And our final game we're going to take a look at, and because this is a CBS game, they were going to cover Texas A&M and Ole Miss, but thanks to COVID-19, they're now going to Mackey whatever stadium in Reno, Nevada, to take on to watch the Nevada Wolfpack take on the San Diego State Aztecs. It's a pretty big Mountain West game, I'm sure, to watch. So, Squid, our final game of our show, who are you looking at? North Nevada or San Diego State?
Now this is a tough one for me to call, considering I never actually covered this one in the Squidtard podcast. But this game, that's right. I completely forgot that this is the game that's going to be on CBS. This is the primetime game that they've got going for us. So maybe CBS knows something that we don't. Maybe they know that this is going to be a good game. So this is going to be a tough one for me to call. I like San Diego State. I like what they're going, what they got going there. I'm going to pick them to win this game. I like them a lot. They've gotten some pretty big wins over the week. So yeah, give me San Diego State.
So you're taking San Diego State. Let's see. So right now I'm looking at the standings in the Mountain West. Nevada leads. Actually, there's a two-way tie. Oh, well, it's two-way, but it's a tie for the lead between Nevada and San Diego State. I mean San Diego State. San Jose State. San Diego State is 3-1 in the conference. There's actually 3 teams undefeated in the conference that are, I think, tied for the lead. I think according to the standing, what it says, between Nevada, San Jose State, and Boise State. Of course, the Broncos are always in contention for the Mountain West. That is a tough game to choose. I think whoever wins this game will probably have the threshold on the Mountain West lead. This game is being played in Nevada at Reno. So I am going to choose the Nevada Wolfpack to beat the Aztecs, and Nevada will continue to have a 3-way tie for the lead in the Mountain West Conference. So that's a look at your college football COVID-19 week games to pay attention to. Of course, again, I want to thank Squidtard for joining me, as well as also one more time I want to say a big thank you to a legend in sports entertainment, The Undertaker, who will be saying his final farewell at Survivor Series. Of course, it's going to be shown on the WWE Network or on your local cable provider. If you want to watch that pay-per-view on the WWE Network, $9.99 a month. It's free for new subscribers. I think that's how that goes. So Survivor Series coming up. One of my all-time favorites is saying goodbye, The Undertaker. That's why I'm making that announcement, because much of my childhood has been watching Undertaker take on Edge, and of course Edge is back, which is why I'm watching again, because Edge is back. I mean, why not? I love the rated R superstar, but I have to say my farewell to the Phenom. I'll be paying attention to that. Squidtard again, man. Thanks for joining.
No problem. I had a good time here. Thank you for inviting me on the show.
Yes, sir. We'll hope to have you back again soon.
Looking forward to it.
And that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for the TigerWarEagle14 show for this edition on Friday, November the 20th, 2020. For Squidtard, I am TigerWarEagle14 saying good night. We'll see you next time.
And power to Tardaria.